Why, it's Caleb Mandrake. He was a skull the day he was born.
Who's Frank?
Who's 6 foot tall bunny rabbit?
Frank is gonna kill.
We're gonna go to war.
It's time that we remove Mr. McNamara.
My mother was killed in a car crash.
And I'm ready to die.
Call me Charlie.
Young Drake.
Ducks are dead.
Welcome back, ballers. Major shout out to Dimitri Legrand, aka Reality Revolt, for the extensive work that he has done for those last two short reels, so to speak. You guys can find that on his Instagram page, as well as you can find him on YouTube, TikTok, etc. Just very blessed to be able to work with him on this particular content, which really blew his mind, really dating back to last week's Eye to Eye episode. So welcome back, everybody. Welcome back, ballers, to another episode of Eye to Eye, the last episode of the year. Happy New Year, everybody. Happy New Year, Cody. I know you're only hours away now from the eyeball dropping, so to speak, but first and foremost, can you guys hear me okay?
I can hear you.
Can
I
hear
can
you.
hear. Awesome. I can hear you, Rambo. I can hear you, Cody. Let me just get the slides up here so we can kick things off. Here we go. Perfect. So yes, Yappy New Year, everybody. Just want to shout out to the chat as well. Thank you guys for all tuning in. I also want to shout out to a new dear friend of mine. First of all, thank you, Kimberly. Appreciate that. I thought that was a good intro for today. But also 47 Slouch. He's doing great work. Very young man who sees through the script. Said, "We live, we ins." So shout out to you, Slouch. Good to see you, brother. Thank you for tuning in. But you guys, this is crazy. Like this is almost like Snake Eyes 2.0. Pun intended. just because of everything that we talked about last week. We can consider this kind of like a part 2, so to speak, especially with what just happened with Anthony Joshua and what was the primary topic of last week's episode. Anthony Joshua and his fight with Jake Paul, right? And Rambo had a lot to share about Jack Parsons, a lot to share about many other things, but it also coincides with the things that Rambo taught me about Drake being a male duck and Mandrake, and Caleb Mandrake is in the skulls, right? Et cetera, et cetera. And we're going to dive into all of those kinds of things. So really excited for this particular stream. I just want to extend a final happy new year to everybody, even though I think a lot of people, including myself, question whether or not this is truly the new year. But either way, let's jump into some introductions really quick. My name is AJ. I go by Ball Don't Lie, 3 L's in Ball. You guys can find my email address right here. Wordplay book with 3 O's in book at gmail.com. Feel free to send me an email if you guys are interested in any of my books that I've written over the last 5-6 years. They are available for free. I do have a handful of hard copies available of my latest book, Sorry Charlie, excuse me. If you guys are interested in that too, just send me a message, send me an email. I will make sure to take care of you guys. So really appreciate the love and the support. Next, let's pass things off to Rambo, please. For anybody maybe new here that might not be familiar with the work that you do, let them to get to know you, brother.
Yeah, thank you. And thank you for putting this together again. And Happy New Year to everybody. And thank you to Cody for being here again to share his great knowledge. And I can be found at patreon.com/thetruthcodes. There's only one tier, only one $5 tier, although you can join for free. There is some content for free. For free, you can also see some of the videos I have in my archive that are available for free. But for $5, you get to see all the videos, the latest videos, and it's only one tier, and you have access to the Codebreaker community Discord community where you can share decodes or just look at other people's decodes. I'm sorry, and I'm also at Instagram.com/thetruthcodes.
And you will also see that Dimitri, once again, I want to pay a serious thank you to Dimitri at reality.revolt on Instagram. Also See in the Dark on YouTube. He's the one that put together that intro. He's the one that put together these shorts, all encompassing everything that we talked about just last week. And he also is kind enough to shout out myself as well as Rambo. And hey, Cody, you weren't left out, brother. He's very well aware of your work. We just know that the majority of your work is on YouTube. So he really, really values what we're doing. And man, did his own eyes light up with what we were talking about and what I shared with him last week. And then just 48 hours ago, we have the Anthony Joshua crash, which pretty much puts a cherry on top of this next chapter that we're going to read through. But Cody, thank you for all the sacrifices that you make. I know that it's very early or late for you, but thank you again, as always, for joining. If you can please introduce yourself, let people know where they can find you.
Yeah, thanks, guys. Thank you, AJ, for setting it up. Thank you, Rambo, for being here and doing all that you do. And thanks to everyone in the chat who's watching right now and will watch. And yeah, thanks to Dimitri for that great video to start. I don't know him, but I like the way he does his videos. It's eye-catching. So appreciate that. And if you guys want to find me, as usual, you can find me over on YouTube, mostly where a lot of you guys are watching at the moment, Decoding with Cody. And then that's where you can also find my donations and links page on buymeacoffee.com/decoding with Cody. And I look forward to diving more into this all this stuff that's going on, and seeing what we can find more in this stream. So
yeah, we appreciate you very much, Cody. Thank you guys so much. For anybody that needs to find Cody on my channel where this is being streamed as well, please right now make sure to open up a separate tab and search Decoding with a K with Cody with a K 589. You guys will find his channel. And if you guys wish to support him financially, he has his link right here, buymeacoffee.com/decoding with Cody. So really appreciate everybody. Let's dive right into it. I had no idea that the movie The Skulls was going to be so relevant since last week, right? Typically, I kind of kick things off with what I would like to share with these eye-to-eye live streams. But last week, there was plenty of other things to discuss. And, it was a good opportunity for me to sit back and listen to Cody and Rambo do their thing. And it was a perfect layout, in my opinion, because we essentially ended the show. Well, we opened the show, shout out to you, Cody, talking about the Jake Paul and Anthony Joshua fight. And Rambo did his thing. And then at the very end, we talked about Luca and Lucas and Light and Illuminati and all that stuff, tying in with the red car crash that happened with the Call of Duty founder, right? Tying in with Donnie Darko and the Skulls, right? And Paul Walker dying in a red Porsche, etc. So this was all before Anthony Joshua just had his own car crash. I mean, within the week span of us doing this collaboration, now you have Anthony Joshua in his own car crash. Unbelievable. But for a reminder for people, for anybody who hasn't seen The Skulls, and shout out to you, Rambo, thank you so much for taking the time to watch it. And with what you've shared with me, oh my God, you guys get your pen and paper ready, because Rambo has some unbelievable observations about his own analysis and takeaway of the movie The Skulls. But we're going to keep this really simple before we do that. Joshua Jackson co-stars with Paul Walker in this movie, The Skulls, which released in 2000, a year and a half, maybe a year and 3/4, so to speak, before 9/11. Let's not forget about Paul Walker dying in a red Porsche 911, etc. But look at this. Joshua Jackson, Paul Walker in The Skulls. Right before these crashes happen, you have Joshua versus Paul in the big fight. Was it UFC technically, or what? Like, that's one thing I still don't really get. Like, it was a boxing match, right? It wasn't technically UFC, or was it?
No, it is boxing. I'm not sure which, because there's so many different boxing organizations. It was a sanctioned professional boxing match.
Yeah. I mean, it was a big deal, right? There's a big 33 ritual around all of this. Apparently Joshua, what was it? He threw 33 punches or something, and it had 33 million views. But anyways, we'll get into more details, but I just want to emphasize the Joshua versus Paul connection here. And Cody emphasized in the last stream about Paul Walker Jake Paul wearing his red fiery shorts. And shout out to you, Rambo. Sorry, I kind of cut off the image here, but you pointed out the brown connections, and we'll get into that later. But he's wearing camo shorts, and that's why Dimitri emphasized the whole war connections. Donald Trump just bombed Nigeria 2 days before this crash took place in Nigeria, right? We are at war, you guys, whether it's a spiritual war, a physical war, whatever you want to call it. But let's not forget that Joshua Jackson, his character in the movie, talking to Paul Walker, says, "My mother was killed in a car crash." He's saying that to Paul Walker, who died in a car crash. His name is Joshua, Anthony Joshua, now in a car crash. Once again, Paul Walker dying in a car crash. Some very interesting connections with the movie Cars, where the main character, Lightning McQueen, is the main character of the movie, and the main villain of the movie is a big tractor named Frank, and he has bunny ears. If you guys look really closely, Frank the tractor in this movie, Cars, he has bunny ears. Okay. But in closing of my part of the presentation, just to recap from a gematria side of things, date durations, etc., Joshua Jackson has the same birthday as Rambo. But more importantly, when you measure from the date of this particular crash with Anthony Joshua, it was exactly 201 days after Joshua Jackson's birthday, where in the capitals added cipher, skull and bones equals 201. But in an even more simple cipher, in the reverse, English ordinal, skull and bones equals 202. So in other words, this crash of Anthony Joshua took place on the 202nd day of Joshua Jackson's age, who was in the movie The Skulls, right? So that's what I have to kick things off. So yeah.
Another point to make here about his birthday being 6/11.
Mm-hmm.
In the Latin cipher, Brotherhood of Death equals 6/11, like assassination equals 6/11. So that's why his birthday is that day, because he represents that Brotherhood of Death 6/11 connection, which we've talked about a lot, really. But also in the Aleister Crowley cipher, the cipher derived from the Aleister Crowley books, it's called English Kubala. It's a legit cipher that you find on the Wikipedia site about gematria. But it's Joshua Carter Jackson 202 in that cipher. That's his full name.
Yeah, and shout out to Joseph Aquaviva about the 201. I mean, we know all about the 201, right? And we're not going to dedicate this stream to go into how important that particular number is, but this is very relevant. Thank you, Joseph, for sharing. Make sure that you guys are following Joseph Aquaviva 2222. Sorry, 222. It's right here. It was also 201 days from Paul Walker's birthday. Wow. Wow. So if you add the end date, does that mean it's also 202? If so, that'd be crazy. Oh my goodness. You guys are great. Thank you so much for sharing. And Cody, Rambo, please make sure to request to share your screen for whenever you guys are ready to present. Okay. But this is essentially what I wanted to kick things off with, especially because if you guys go back to last week's episode, Anthony Joshua was not in a car crash yet. And we were talking all about Anthony Joshua. And we were talking about the latest car crash with the Call of Duty founder. So, and now here we are a week later to add further into this this particular presentation. Rambo, would you like me to pass it off to you?
Yeah, sure. So I haven't had time yet to do a full decode. I had to watch the movie, and but I have already decoded my latest decode. It's a good precursor to this because in my latest decode, I talk about the Anthony Joshua and Jake Paul fight and the esoteric, we say, underpinnings of the whole thing. It's a ritual, esoteric ritual event. And I guess primarily based on the moon, but other things as well. And so, of course, I didn't know this crash would happen, but what I brought up last week and in my latest video ties in even more, and especially with you bringing up the movie Skulls. And the thing about the movie Skulls, it was brought out in the year 2000, but if you haven't seen it, then there would be spoilers, I guess I just have to give a spoiler alert. There will be major spoilers, I anticipate, in this
Yes.
discussion. I mean, the movie's from
Yes.
2000. So
If you guys don't want
unfortunately-
us to ruin this, then turn it off right now and go watch the skulls, and then come back and listen to our debrief. But yes,
Yeah,
we are
if-
going to spoil the heck out of this movie.
Yeah, unfortunately. I mean, for those who have, I hadn't seen it, but yeah. So nonetheless, I can I'll introduce some of the connections I've made. I've not yet put it in the form of a full decode. This is the beginnings of a written decode, and so yeah. So we're aware of the event here. It was on December 29th, 2025. Anthony Joshua, who had just fought against Jake Paul, and it was sanctioned by the WBA, World Boxing Association, and IBF. So yeah, and IBO, I think, but three of the official sanctioning bodies did sanction the fight. It was an actual, and of course, the irony is that the reason its legitimacy is brought into question is because of the presence of Jake Paul, who's not really seen as a legitimate boxer, and it didn't really help Anthony Joshua's career by beating Jake Paul. Of course, you beat a YouTuber. That's kind of how it's seen. Like it didn't do anything for him. It would have done something for Jake Paul, but it says something about where we are as far as the status of sports and the entertainment business. That boxing needs a YouTuber to get ratings. Had this been a legitimate heavyweight, other than Jake Paul, the ratings would have been lower. So it was actually Jake Paul's celebrity status, which he got. Number one, he got the status from his brother, Logan Paul, who was the initial YouTube superstar. And then Jake Paul as Logan Paul's brother, that gave him notoriety. And then he started doing this, but he's like a reality TV star, basically. But he has
And
more. Yeah.
Rambo, to that point though, brothers, the brother connections with everything we've talked about this entire year, but the skulls is a brotherhood, right? The brotherhood.
The brother is a big theme here, and that ties into Philadelphia, the reigning Super Bowl champions, who are the city of brotherly love, which is named after the original Philadelphia, which is in the Middle East, which is the modern day Amman, Jordan. That's the original Philadelphia, brotherly love. So it's brother, especially when you're dealing with secret societies. Cody just mentioned that the Skull and Bones originally was called the Brotherhood of Death. Secret societies like to use the term brotherhood. And yes, so Jake Paul ties into that brother theme. His claim to fame is being the brother of Logan Paul, who was the initial, and Logan Paul is in the WWE now. But so yeah, now he's no longer Logan Paul's brother. Now he's Jake Paul. He's got that recognition, but it doesn't say much about boxing's popularity now that they needed to go into the it's kind of like reality TV / YouTube influencer realm in order to get ratings. That's a sad reality. So, but still, this is all done for manipulating of the consciousness of just manipulating human consciousness. That's regardless of where it comes from. I mean, I think we know that even if it was legitimate boxers, you're still dealing with entertainment and scripting. But going, it was 10 days after the fight. The fight was December 19th. 10 days later, on December 29th, Anthony Joshua. Now, the reason he's in Nigeria is because his parents are from Nigeria. They emigrated to England, and he was born in England. He was born in a suburb north, I believe, of London, which is Watford. So it's like a town. It's part of the metropolis. It's part of the London metropolitan area, Watford, which is very important to this, where Anthony Joshua was born. But his parents were Nigerian, so he still has a Nigerian connection. And in fact, at his fights, he even has a Nigerian flag in the ring, which he did against Jake Paul. So Nigeria has been in the news. You'll see these patterns. 4 days before the Anthony Joshua accident in Nigeria, Donald Trump decided to bomb Nigeria. There are parts of northern Nigeria. It's a very big country. Nigeria has a population of 200 million. In the northern parts of Nigeria, there has been some conflict. Nigeria is split primarily between Christian and Muslim. And there has been some religious conflict in the north. Donald Trump has said that he's intervening to help the Christians. Or anyone really believes that? Like he doesn't seem like someone who's genuinely motivated by humanitarian impulses, but that's what he says. He wants to help Christians, and so he was bombing ISIS. That's the pretext for bombing Nigeria, but that happened on Christmas. I'm talking about Nigeria being in the nose. There is, and I've done decodes on Nigeria as well, as far as some members of Nigerian ethnic groups do claim to be original members of one of the 12 tribes of Israel. And so some of the largest, or the largest ethnic group in Nigeria is the Yoruba community. And some, not all, very few, some Yoruba do claim to be descendants of one of the 12 tribes of Israel, as do members of the Igbo, spelled IGBO community. Now, majority of Igbo and Yoruba are Christians, but a small minority feels that they originated from outside Nigeria. In fact, the Igbo have always been considered outsiders in Nigeria, but they don't say from where. So there is this, and I've done several decodes on that, on the connection of the 12 tribes. The original Nigerian flag had the Star of David on it. I don't have that graphic. But so Nigeria is very profoundly connected to all of this. Now, what is happening, another sporting event that's happening right now is the Africa Cup of Nations. It's a football soccer tournament to determine the champion of Africa, and Nigeria is a contender. I suspect this is a sacrifice for Nigeria to win. It's being held in Morocco at the moment. This is completely off the radar of American sports fans, completely, understandably. I mean, no one's paying attention to soccer, let alone the African Soccer Championships, but this is connected. It is going on right now. In 2026, they'll have the final. It's in Morocco, who are the favorites. So beating Morocco at home in Morocco would be a big deal. Morocco, just to put things in perspective, at the last World Cup, Morocco reached the semifinal. They reached the final four of the World Cup. So they are a good team. Yes, some of it is scripted, so that doesn't necessarily determine, but nonetheless, it is a legitimately strong team. They are the favorites. They're at home. Based on all of this, I think Nigeria will win, and you'll see more of a Nigerian connection. But so this is the car that Anthony Joshua was in when the accident happened. It was this isn't the car, but it's an idea of the model. It's a Lexus LX 570. That's the car that was mangled, that Anthony Joshua survived. The other two people in the car, and it was smashed. It was somehow he was completely unharmed. It's a really unusual scene. But this is the make and model of the car that he was in, the Lexus LX 570. To American sports fans, what would stand out here? What should stand out is
Flagship.
the model. What is that?
Flagship.
No,
Flagship.
No, something
That's
else.
what I'm saying. The flagship luxury. That's what I wanted to point out. But yeah, that was my answer.
So
sorry.
Look at the make and model. It's the Lexus LX 570. LX. Does that ring a bell? Okay, well, if LX doesn't ring a bell, where
60. There you go.
That's her LX right there.
Well, like
Okay.
I was thinking the flagship, because in that main promo, right, Judgment Day, it shows Jake Paul and his side with the American flag. Yeah, right there, that one. Yeah, it's all the flags in the background. So the flagship, I think, is relevant, at least with that particular word that you showed in your last image.
Yeah, and Joshua did have a Nigerian flag. in the ring as well.
Yeah. But no,
And,
the LX definitely.
So this is what the LX is. So he was
Yep.
involved in a crash while inside a Lexus LX 570. And this is LX just happens to be the next Super Bowl that is less than 2 months away. The LX. So I think there is a Super Bowl connection, or there
Why-
could be anyway.
While we're on this connection, somebody in the chat had mentioned a while ago that I was looking into this while you were talking, and now that you mentioned the LX thing, we got Caleb Williams,
Yep.
who's born on the, guess what, 3/22 day of the year in the year what? 2001, which what happened in 2001 with Skull and Bones and George Walker Bush. But yeah, Caleb Williams, born 3/22 day of the year. And we also have a quarterback on the other side that could be in the Super Bowl against Caleb, which is Joshua Allen, I mean.
Yep.
So it could be a Bills and Bears narrative, or you could have a Drake thing, like Drake May. That could also be a possible Patriots Bears, and that would make a lot of sense. Patriots Bears, because that would tie to Charlie Kirk. Charlie Kirk, the Patriot from Chicago, the Pope from. I just don't see how. To be honest, I'm really on the Bears a lot because you got the Pope from Chicago now. You got the whole thing with Charlie Kirk from Chicago. And now you got this Caleb Williams thing, who's born the 3/22 day of the year. I think it's a likely. I'm not saying it's what's going to happen, but definitely something to be thinking about. But yeah, with the LX thing being involved.
Well, and the Patriots got that massive 9/11 connection. Let's not forget about Paul Walker, who played Caleb Drake May playing for the Patriots. Paul Walker died in a red Porsche 911 right before 9/11, right? So yeah.
Caleb Mandrake
That's
equals
interesting.
202, by the way. Did you catch that?
I did not. No, I mean,
Yeah.
this is stuff that, yeah, this is why I look forward to tonight's show. So
No,
I did not.
Okay. Yeah, go ahead.
And
Go
it's
ahead.
41 days after Caleb Williams' birthday, this crash. You guys know what that number is, 41. That's Skull and Bones in reduction. So
And today is LeBron James's 41st birthday. Happy birthday, LeBron.
So what is that again, Cody? Could you repeat that? It was 41 days. After...
Caleb Williams, who's born on the 3/22 day, it was 41 days after his birthday. Skull and Bones 41, the crash.
Okay.
The Anthony Joshua crash.
So yeah, so I have more 41s. I don't have the graphics for them because I haven't done a formal decode. There are more 41s again. So this is the Super Bowl is relevant here because it's Super Bowl LX that's coming up. So I looked from the crash to Super Bowl LX, and it is 41 days. I don't know if it's 41.
Huh.
Yeah, it's 41 days to Super Bowl LX, a crash in a Lexus LX.
Wow. Well,
But it's also 1 month and 10 days to the Super Bowl. Why is that relevant? 1 month and 10 days. That's 1 and 10. What's the first letter of the alphabet and the 10th letter of the alphabet? It's AJ. 110. Anthony Joshua, and he's in the accident in the LX. 1 month and 10 days before Super Bowl LX. So I think there is a Super Bowl. There appears to there could be a Super Bowl connection to this.
watch there be a commercial for an LX at the Super Bowl, a car.
Well, there's also that 9/11 connection. 1 month, 10 days, like 110, and the Twin Towers stood 110 stories tall.
Yeah, exactly.
But this does appear to be, there are elements here that line it up with the Super Bowl. And I can say what the obvious one is, but I'll again, there's so many different ways it could go.
Wait, did the Bears not play the 49ers in the same day?
The
They-
19th, right?
That's a really good.
Judgment
That's
Day?
a really good. It was on Sunday.
Judgment Day.
It was on Sunday, so that was the 28th, I believe. It was Sunday.
But yeah,
28th?
but that was the team that the Bears just played, and who did they play? They played from the team from San Francisco.
Yes.
So is
Who's
that
hosting the
another?
Super Bowl? Yeah. Wow.
Yeah.
And they lost, by the way.
On the last play of the game. Yeah.
Right.
Wow.
So that's interesting.
So Skull and Bones. So 41 very famously is the gematria value of skull and bones in one of the Pythagorean ciphers. Skull and bones has a value of 41. The most famous skull and bonesman is George Bush Sr., who was the 41st US president. And again, this accident is 41 days before Super Bowl LX, and it involved an LX. And of course, we're talking about the connection to the movie The Skulls. Yeah, so that's the Super Bowl connection. So but this is why there's another clue. If this is as connected to the Super Bowl as it is, that's another thing too. I don't have the graphic here. Actually, I could bring it up, but if you don't mind, I can bring it up really quick because this is still being edited.
Yeah, do your thing.
This is very relevant to the Super Bowl. So where's the Super Bowl being held? It's being held in Levi's Stadium. I'm just going through some screenshots I took. There is a scene in The Skulls where there is these are all screenshots from the movie. There is a Levi's jeans product placement, which yeah, here it is.
Yeah, I think I sent that to Cody. Yeah.
Oh, you saw the Levi's thing?
Well, I you know what? I did. I totally forgot about it. I was flooding. Yep. I sent him that exact image. I was like, really? Why are they emphasizing Levi's here? Wow. Yeah. Thank you, Rambo, for bringing this back to the forefront.
Yeah. For those who are not familiar, the Super Bowl will be held in Levi's Stadium, which is the corporate sponsor is Levi's Jeans. This is the corporate sponsor of the upcoming Super Bowl, and this is a product placement. Yeah, a very conscious product placement in the movie The Skulls.
They showed it like 3 times in this scene. This was the main one, but they show that bag in the background like 2 or 3 other times in the scene. I remember that.
So this is the other connection. So when you take into account that the Africa Cup of Nations is occurring right now and will conclude, during the NFL playoffs, with Nigeria being a contender. I don't have the graphic here, but Nigeria's their logo is an eagle. Their national animal is an eagle. Many countries use the eagle. Nigeria is one of many countries who uses the eagle as a national emblem. Nigeria's national colors are green and white. Where do you see an eagle and green and white? Well, the reigning Super Bowl champions. Now, I don't know if this points directly to them or just it still ties into the Super Bowl because the green and white Eagles are the reigning Super Bowl champions and are contenders again. Now, a star player for the Nigerian national soccer team, who I've brought up many times, is Victor Osimhen. I understand why people might not remember the name, but I've brought him up because he wears a Batman mask. Victor Osimhen is known for wearing it's not really a Batman mask, but it's a face mask that makes him look like he could be a Batman figure. This is a star player for Nigeria. He's actually one of the best strikers in the world. Arguably, I'd say he's the 4th best striker in the world right now. He plays in Turkey. We talked about him when he plays in Turkey. But he wears this mask. And the thing is, he doesn't have to wear it. He got an injury like 5 years ago, and it's healed. Many athletes wear these face masks, but once their injuries have healed, they don't wear them anymore. He is told that he has to wear it. Why is Batman relevant to Skull and Bones? Because according to official Batman canon, the great-grandfather of Bruce Wayne, Batman, founded Skull and Bones. So Skull and Bones is directly connected to Batman of DC Comics. And this is according to them. I don't know if there's some kind of agreement they have between DC Comics and Yale. They probably do. Who knows how many members of Marvel, DC Comics are connected to through secret societies, most likely. But they agreed that Bruce Wayne, Batman's family founded, they weren't just members, they founded Skull and Bones. So when you see a Batman mask, it is a direct Skull and Bones reference. And now there's more of that in the movie. There's the hangman, the bat hangs upside down. But you can see here, I don't know if you can see it clearly, but the eagle, this is the eagle emblem of Nigeria, and they wear green. Their flag is green and white, which points to the Philadelphia Eagles, clearly. One other thing. So this is the star player. He's the fourth. He's a world-class player. Victor Osimhen.
Rambo, really quick, just with the Philadelphia connection, I want to shout out Mike from Michigan saying, remember that AJ Brown has his connections playing for Philly. So I just want to get that in there before we move on to another alignment.
Yeah, that's a good one. That's Anthony Joshua Brown. And what was Anthony Joshua wearing? He was wearing brown trunks. So you talk about AJ Brown. That's AJ Brown right there. The brown trunks.
There you go.
Worn by AJ.
Yeah.
So yeah, this is Victor Osimhen. He's very esoteric. And the fact that they make him do this, so it's not his choice. He's been told you have to wear this mask. He doesn't need to. He's told he has to do it. The symbolism, so he's very important. But what is Victor Osimhen's birthday? I thought I knew it, but I forgot. It's December 29th, the day of the crash. The crash happened on Victor Osimhen, Batman.
Wow.
On his birthday.
Holy smokes.
And he turned 27 years old on the day of the crash in Nigeria. Not a coincidence that Joshua was told to go to Nigeria and the incident happened. The Africa Cup of Nations is happening where Nigeria is a contender. I think Nigeria is going to win the Africa Cup of Nations.
Mike from Michigan is also saying that AJ Brown's nickname is Batman. I didn't know that.
Really? Oh wow,
I did not know that. Yeah. Oh my God, Mike from Michigan on fire. Shout out to you, Mike from Michigan. Thank you for sharing that. That is incredible.
That's the thing. There's so many layers to these things. Like you can't possibly. So that ties right into this. But to me, this would indicate, we see different clues for different teams. This looks like Philadelphia Eagles. They're tied in with the Super Bowl. It's in an LX. I mean, that's the most, you can't get more direct than that. Super Bowl LX. And it happens on Victor Osimhen. He's Batman on his birthday in his home country while they're challenging for it. I think if Nigeria does win the Africa Cup of Nations, that's more of an indication that maybe the Eagles will be in the Super Bowl. Especially if Nigeria actually wins that. They're green and they're the Eagles. So that's something to consider. So as far as this movie goes, there's so much symbolism and elements that I've talked about. So Skull and Bones are a secret society, obviously very elite, but they are part of a larger secret society umbrella. So the images, they're part of, they're a branch of Freemasonry, basically, but an elite order. So Freemason imagery is, and it's like this in most, maybe all Hollywood movies, Freemason imagery. And Freemason imagery isn't necessarily Freemason imagery per se. It's imagery taken from old, ancient, esoteric traditions from around the world. And the skull is one of them. I've talked about the skull and the Trinity. The skull is part of the Trinity, skull, bones, heart. The heart is missing from the Trinity. So whenever you see Skull and Bones, you have to know it is 2/3 of a Trinity. There's supposed to be a heart that goes along with the Skull and Bones, and there is no heart.
That connects with all my love themes this year. Like that's why it's so cool how it all comes together.
Yeah, city of brotherly love, Yeah. And so that's what the skull represents. And so thought and action are anthropomorphized as male, and emotion, the heart, is anthropomorphized as female. And time and again, whether it's cartoons or any kind of drama, comedy, they will promote 2 males, 1 female. They did it in this movie too. I didn't have time to. I haven't had time to do a full decode. It's a very important image. There's another co-star here. So there's a character named Chloe. His two best friends are. This is Joshua Jackson, who's Lucas, which is a reference to light. Again, Illuminati, Lucas. That's everywhere. It's pretty. It's about enlightenment, higher consciousness. So Luca, the McNamara is his name. His best friends are Will, and I told you what Will is about. The reason his friend is named Will, it's about your will, free will. Will has a double entendre. That's what his name means. It means your will. It's human will, human free will. That's his best friend. And then his other friend is Chloe, who they were in the friend zone, and then they moved out of the friend zone with his female friend Chloe. But it was, so that's the male, female trinity. I hate to spoil it, but I kind of have to. I guess
we already gave the disclaimer. Anybody that's still
Yeah.
around that doesn't want us to spoil it, sorry guys.
But
Turn this
Will,
off, go watch it, come back.
But Will dies. His best friend dies in the movie.
It's the
And-
it's like the most pivotal part of the movie, or one of them
Yeah.
at least.
And
Yeah.
then the male trinity becomes Lucas, Caleb, played by Paul Walker, and Chloe. But there's always that. And in fact, in some movie posters, there are always alternate posters. It'll either be, no, it'll most likely be Lucas, Caleb, and Chloe. It's always a male, female. That is what Skull and Bones is. So Skull and Bones are male. The heart is female. And the heart is missing from the Skull and Bones trinity. And it's about enlightenment. So when you talk about secret societies, inevitably you have to talk about Freemason iconography, which borrows from multiple traditions. Primarily, where you'll see the Skull and Bones in Freemasonry is on the tracing board of the Master Mason, on the coffin of Hiram Abiff. Hiram Abiff is a allegorical Freemason figure, who is the architect of Solomon's Temple. And on the coffin of Hiram Abiff, you see the Skull and Bones. It may look, that's the thing. So a lot of these images look scary to a lot of people or negative. And it depends how it's interpreted. And I learned this from Mark Passio. I have to give a shout out. That's where I learned this. So what I know about this, the tracing board and the Trinity and the skull-bone heart, I learned that from the work of Mark Passio. I give a shout out there. Very, very thankful for the knowledge he has shared on this. That is where Skull and Bones, and this is what this coffin is. It's the coffin of Hiram Abiff, the architect of Solomon's Temple, who is killed while in the process of completing Solomon's Temple. And it goes deep. It's about the reincarnation cycle. At the end of the day, that's what this is all about, the reincarnation cycle. Whether people believe in it or not, that's what it's about. And so there are more than one interpretations for the Skull and Bones on the tracing board. And one thing that Passio makes a point to point out, and they actually do make that point in the movie as well, subtly, is how do you judge the secret society? So in the beginning, his friend Will, he's just absolute. If it's secret, if it's a secret and it's elite, it is 100% bad all the time. He's emphatic about it. If it's by the elites and it's secret, then there cannot be anything good in it. So that's his perspective. And of course, the reaction of Lucas seems to be, well, I'm not so sure about that. He's trying to say that, he's trying to make some arguments, I guess, for why Skull and Bones might be positive. He's talking about the CIA, which is a complete mind control institution. That's pretty much what it exists for, the CIA. I don't see any other reason the CIA exists other than to manipulate the minds of the human race, honestly, unless I'm missing something. And I don't mean to be absolute. I'm open to everything, but that's part of the philosophical question they bring up in the movie. Are secret societies bad? I mean, they're perceived as bad. Are they bad and good? Is it 50-50? Is it 70-30? So that's something you'll never really know. Or do they have some good? So this actually, some of this Mark Passio in his teachings, he always gives you two perspectives from what I've seen of his work, at least from what I learned on this. He says There's a negative interpretation and a positive. There are dark Masons, evil Masons who will interpret it in their way. And there are others who are light Masons who are positive, who will interpret it another way. And the light ones interpret this as a warning against leaving out the heart. It's actually a warning. So this is actually positive. It's saying skull bones, there's supposed to be a heart, but if you leave out the heart, this is where you end up. This is a result of the heart. Now, it wasn't Hiram Abiff himself who lacked heart. It was the people who killed him who lacked heart. He was killed by the three ruffians. This is in English Freemasonry, that allegory, which is very likely written by Francis Bacon, the allegory of Hiram Abiff. Francis Bacon most likely wrote that. But so this can be interpreted as a warning, and you can see how the cardinal signs are. There's north is to the right, south is to the left, east is at the bottom, and west is on top. Why is that? Because the sun sets in the west. So the sun is the allegory. The sun goes through the cycle of death in the underworld, rebirth at spring, and goes highest point at the summer solstice, dies again, and the sun keeps going through that cycle of death and rebirth. And so this is the death of the sun. That's why it's facing west where the sun dies. Now, somebody who's evil, negative, they're celebrating this. They think it's great to leave out the heart. And we see plenty of evidence of that in the world. But so in a movie like this, Skull and Bones, you'll see a lot of coffins. And these are scenes when he first gets initiated. These are the initiates. They're all in golden coffins. The initiates into the skulls, which is different to Skull and Bones. And then here's an example how they get out of the coffins. But where does this come from? It comes from the tracing board of the Master Mason, the coffin of Hiram Abiff. But these are elite secret societies doing this. And you ask yourself, are they really motivated by these higher principles and spiritual principles about reincarnation and elevating spiritually? Doesn't really seem like it, does it? But then I guess that's part of the question you ask in the movie. And so part of Freemason allegory is influenced by the allegories of ancient Egyptian mythology and the coffin of Osiris. Osiris is killed by Set, his brother. Again, talking about brothers, Osiris and Set. There's another brother theme which is part of this. And this is Set. Osiris's brother Set kills him in legend. And that can be a metaphor for the sun setting either at the end of the day or in the year at the autumn, which is at the time of Libra, which is why Anthony Joshua is a Libra. Libra is the time of the death of the sun in the sun cycle. These are the cardinal signs. Capricorn is the solstice, the underworld. Aries, which is directly opposite Libra, is the rebirth of the sun, which is a huge ritual time of year. And then Cancer is the summer solstice when the sun is at full strength. And that's the cycle, which is a metaphor for the reincarnation cycle. And this
Rambo,
is
Rambo, really quick. This is incredible. Another shout out to Mike from Michigan. With everything you're talking about right now with the brother symbolism and the sun symbolism. Cody, wake up, brother. Pun intended. Look at this. AJ Brown, right? We just talked about AJ Brown with Philadelphia and the connections that Rambo made with Batman. AJ Brown, aka Batman. AJ, did you know that AJ Brown and Cody Rhodes have the same birthday? 223 days from their birthdays to the Super Bowl. Cody Rhodes won his championship in Philadelphia last year. That's amazing. Just with yours and my connection, Cody. Where Cooper, it's funny, you know, I'm wearing my Cooper shirt I got for the holidays this year, but Cooper's brother is Cody. And, you know, the year of years, you know, you and I became brothers in a sense. So I just, with your knowledge of WWE and Cody Rhodes, and we just talked about AJ Brown, they have the same birthday now. Like, oh my God.
You know who else has a brother named Cody? Paul Walker.
Oh, wow.
Oh my God, dude. Here we go. There's always going to be one moment every episode where I'm just going to start getting into.
I just noticed that a little while ago,
amazing.
and I was going to wait to say it, but you now seem like the perfect time to bring it up.
Wow.
I was looking at Paul Walker. His two brothers are named Cody and Caleb.
He plays Caleb, and his brother's name is Caleb.
Yeah, Caleb Walker and Cody Walker, two of his brothers.
Oh my God, Codes. Wow.
But yeah, so Cody Rhodes, while we're on this, Cody Rhodes, he did win his so his dad, Dusty Rhodes, the American Dream, his family bloodline, right? His dad never won a championship. His dad died. Wait, his dad died on June 11th.
No, he didn't.
That's why. Again, it goes back to that. Cody Rhodes' dad, Dusty Rhodes, died on June 11th. Okay,
roads. Once again, roads. That's a really important theme with everything we've been talking about with car crashes. Roads.
Well, yeah. And so, but Dusty Rhodes never had an opportunity to win a championship because the one he did win, it was taken away from him. So his son, Cody Rhodes, plays the prodigal son, leaves the WWE, comes back to the WWE in 2022, and then ends up having to fight for 2 years before he actually he loses to Roman Reigns the first time at WrestleMania. Then in WrestleMania 40 in Philadelphia, in their stadium, Cody Rhodes, his daughter's name is Liberty. He wins his first championship, WrestleMania 40 in Philadelphia, in Lincoln Financial Stadium, beating Roman Reigns, who had reigned for 16 days, the longest reign of the modern era. And then that was a preview of the next Super Bowl where the Eagles, Cody is an Eagles fan, where the Eagles would beat the Chiefs, and Roman Reigns was the tribal chief, right? So that was the preview of that Super Bowl this past year. But that was all the way back on the eclipse on 4/7/2024. That was right before the Great American Eclipse. So you have all that, and then you have Cody Rhodes now having the same birthday as the receiver for the Eagles. Now, after John Cena retired, this is actually getting deeper the more I'm thinking about it, because Cody Rhodes, the WWE is in a process of doing something very interesting. Considering we're talking about all this African stuff, they're bringing in so many African or black stars now up from the minor leagues. And Cody Rhodes, on John Cena's retirement, he faced a guy, I think he's Nigerian. He is Obafemi.
Yeah.
And Cody Rhodes, but the guy that stopped the match from ending was a Scottish guy. So we're going back to the Scottish Rite. But yeah, so Obafemi faced Cody Rhodes the night John Cena retired. Well, now you have all this stuff going on with Nigeria, and Obafemi is going to be called up. He's the ruler. They call him the ruler, and he's looking to be one of the next big stars of the WWE. And so that probably ties into this. But yeah, just the fact that Cody Rhodes, has that connection with all that, and his daughter, his wife is African. She's black, so that's how Cody
Rhodes' wife.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, his daughter is also a mix, of course. So that there's Cody Rhodes is super connected with the black stuff, and obviously and it seems like they're going to use Cody Rhodes to bring in the next era of wrestlers, which seems to be all black people. Like, if you guys know the WWE, they've always been this thing about them, how they don't promote blacks, like the big stars are not black. But it seems like that's changing because they're bringing up 3 different guys now, and we just had a guy win of the United States Championship who's black, Carmelo Hayes, and he connects to his wife. His girlfriend is Kalani Jordan, like Michael Jordan. But yeah, Carmelo Hayes just won the United States Championship from the Dragon, Ilya Dragunov. So think about that Dragon stuff going on.
Yep.
But yeah, I'll stop on that. But there's a whole theme going on here with WWE. And don't forget, WWE is located in Connecticut, where the New Haven. It's not in New Haven. It's in, or is it? Their headquarters in New Haven?
No, it's not. It's
Stamford. Yeah, it's
Stamford. Yeah, Stamford.
But not far, of course, because Connecticut is not a big state. So, and don't forget, the guy who runs WWE right now. Well, talking about Vince McMahon, we just had that crash from Vince in the last car crash. But obviously, Vince McMahon no longer runs WWE, but Triple H, who's got the Skull and Bones logos all over his attire, if you just look up Triple H. So, yeah, I mean, that's a gist of that. I might think of something else, but that's what I got so far.
Makes me think of Vince McMahon and Joshua Jackson. Obviously, Anthony Joshua, but Lucas McNamara, right? So there's kind of that Mick-Mac connection that
Yeah,
know,
yeah.
McNamara, McMahon, Vince McMahon, Joshua playing McNamara, right? So there's
the guy who
something
interrupted
there.
the Cody Rhodes match was McIntyre. And he's the
Okay.
one that's fighting Cody Rhodes in a 3 stages of hell match in a couple weeks. And yeah, so Drew McIntyre, he's the Scottish warrior. He clearly represents the Scottish Freemasonry angle. And Trump too. He's hugely connected to Trump. But the point is there's a lot of Macs. Yeah, there's McIntyre, McMahon, Scottish stuff. Scottish or Irish, you can have both, but big Scottish riddles always, usually. Scotland's so big, you always notice that. But
So you said that. So the Mac MC. Another thing I've talked about is the Mac. I think I talked about the MC, and I first started talking about it in 2024 when you had the Super Bowl in Las Vegas, and a week before the Super Bowl in Las Vegas, which is Super Bowl 58, you had a veteran singer who you would think would have won a Grammy by now, who had not won their very first Grammy 1 week before the Super Bowl 58, and that was Miley Cyrus. And she highlighted, so that's when I started talking about the Mac and the MC. She highlighted it when she won her Grammy, which is her first. It's very significant that she won that Grammy because who really follows Grammys? I mean, who really cares? But so everyone just kind of assumes she's won one, but she never won one. That's why everyone was hearing for the first time, wow, she'd never won. No, Miley Cyrus had never won a Grammy. And when she received her Grammy award, she received it from Mariah Carey. And when she received her Grammy from Mariah Carey, she said, "This is iconic. One MC receiving an award from another MC." And so she highlighted the MC, the initials of Mariah Carey and herself. That was a week before the Super Bowl, which is between the two teams that Joe Montana played for, the San Francisco 49ers and the Kansas City Chiefs. Miley Cyrus is also known for being Hannah Montana. But they highlighted the Big Mac in that Super Bowl was CMC, Christian McCaffrey. So that's when I started getting on the MC thing. And you said, I think Cody said that, Sean Desad had said that MC is related to Moonchild.
Yes. Big
Yeah,
shout
we
out to
talked-
Sean Desad. Yep.
yeah, we
And I've-
talked about that. And that's something that we pondered because you got McDonald's, you got Moonchild Donald. It's kind of like it seems like that is possibly one of the reasons why it's called McDonald's. And of course, the connection between Trump and the Aleister Crowley's letter he wrote on Trump's birthday, you can find it out there. It's marked as Trump's actual birth date, and he's born on a blood moon. So yeah, it makes perfect sense why the MC, the Moonchild, would be so prominent.
So what letter is that again? By Crowley to who?
It was a letter. I'd have to go back. It was a letter marked, dated June 14, 1946, and it was Aleister Crowley writing to one of his colleagues about his worries of Jack Parsons and L. Ron Hubbard trying to do a ritual to create a Moonchild. That was kind of, he was like saying it's. I don't know the exact wordage, but it was dated. Let me see if I can find it while you're talking about other stuff. I'll see if I can pull it up so we can bring it up so people see it.
Yeah, thanks. Because I've been talking about Jack Parsons and the moon symbolism. That's what I've been talking about. And it relates to this Jake Paul fight with Anthony Joshua because it was held at a new moon. And the last time Jake Paul had a high profile fight, it was held at under a full moon when he fought Mike Tyson, who was a Cancer, and Cancer is ruled by the moon. And I've talked about how the new moon is brown lunation. That's why he wore the brown trunks.
Yeah.
And of course, is a great contribution. AJ Brown, really, Anthony Joshua Brown wearing the brown trunks. So the moon is a big part of this, and this is why I brought in Jack Parsons too, because they will code Jack Parsons using his initials. NASA has this Jet Propulsion Labs, JPL. It's actually a hidden. Of course, there's no proof of it because they won't admit it. More than likely, Jack Parsons was a co-founder of the Jet Propulsion Labs by NASA. JPL very well could stand for Jack Parsons Labs. And since I do think, especially with the Moonchild Antichrist talk it's now mainstream, honestly, at the moment, why Jack Parsons becomes relevant. And I was saying, I'm going to look for JP in the news. If so, and right away, it's Jake Paul. That's JP. That's a Jack Parsons reference. And now this Moonchild stuff that you're mentioning here, I talked about the Moonchild. I didn't realize about the Donald Trump thing, that on Donald Trump's day of birth is when Aleister Crowley wrote this letter about trying to create a moonchild. That's amazing.
I've got the letter up now. I found it. It's
Cody. Cody, really quick. All I want to chime in here is just shout out Mr. S really quick for just pointing out E equals MC squared, right? And just the other day, especially with the stuff that you and I did, Cody, about Home Alone, I never really paid attention to why the E is the only lowercase letter in Home Alone. Did you ever notice that?
Huh. Yeah.
So I was like, I was talking to my wife about it. I was like, why is the E the only one that's lowercase? And, there's theories behind it, but you and I also went down our own separate rabbit hole about Mick Allister, the McAllisters, Aleister Crowley, etc. E equals MC squared. Thank you, Mr. S, for sharing that, because that to me is really interesting. There's a reason why the lowercase letter in alone, or in alone, the last letter E is not under lowercase, excuse me.
Yeah, that's pretty brilliant.
E equals MC squared, McAllister. That's all I just wanted to point out, Cody, before you do your thing.
It's also his real name, Macaulay.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. Macaulay is McAllister, and they emphasize the lowercase e.
Yeah, Macaulay Culkin, MC.
Yeah, E equals MC squared.
Yeah, that's brilliant.
That's a good one, Mr. S. Thank you so much for sharing that. Yeah. Let me pass it off to you, Codes. You have the floor, brother.
I'm trying to find where it actually. So here's the letter. And look who it's written to, McMurdy. So the guy who was writing to, is Grady McMurdy. Of course, it's MCM.
Oh my God.
But let me find where it actually says the Moonchild. This might be a different letter, possibly, because it says love Aleister. He starts off by saying his whole spiel, but here's the actual letter. There's a picture of it here, but you can see it's dated 14/6/46. That's Trump's exact birthday. It's a blood moon. That was the day of a blood moon. And it says somewhere, talks about a Moonchild, but I don't see it now.
Yeah, it might take some time to skim through it so you can highlight it.
But here's the letter, and again, it's wrote in San Francisco connection, of course, right? Grady L. McMurdy, 1661 Sacramento Street, apartment 3, San Francisco. Huh. Well, you can see the guy who posted this a while ago. He mentions where. I just don't know where that part is. That's weird. I guess this is. Oh, here's part of the letter that somebody wrote out. So I guess we can just read this part. It says, apparently this is in the letter because someone is just like rewriting the letter here. but it says it's not good talking about Freighter 210, Jack Parsons, coming over. He has got under the influence of a person whom I believe to be an ordinary con man, L. Ron Hubbard. At any rate, he is acting quite insanely, and as far as I can see, both deceitfully and dishonorably. I am still waiting to hear whether the adverb dishonestly should be added to this list. In any case, he would not come, because oh, curse these people who have no idea of their own and can do nothing but pick up my ideas and try to put them in operation without in the least understanding of them or knowing how to bring them to success. Apparently, he, Jack Parsons, and L. Ron Hubbard or somebody is producing a moonchild. I get fairly frantic when I contemplate the idiocy of these goats. I apologize to goats. Yours ever. Yeah, so that's apparently what's in the letter, if I can actually find it written in the actual picture. Somewhere. Look at this. It mentions Browning Society.
Oh, wow.
Somewhere in here. It's just weird. I can't find the actual. Oh, here it is. Yeah, it's right here. It's this paragraph right there. It's the second paragraph down from the opening paragraph. So it's the first paragraph, and then he starts talking right here. He says, right here, L. Ron, Jack, and Ron or somebody is producing a moonchild. Again, that's dated Donald Trump's birthday.
Which was a full moon, a blood moon.
Right. And then where does it mention Browning? In the second page, it mentions there are also young men and young women who have begun to see the light. There is actually a person on the front to start a Crowley Society on the same lines as the Browning Society.
Yeah, I'm not familiar with the Browning Society. I'll write that down.
Yeah, me neither. I don't know what that is, but.
And really quick, Cody, I'm just going to steal Rambo's thunder here, but we did talk briefly about the character William in the movie The Skulls. And when I was talking with Rambo earlier today, I asked him, I said, hey, why is the name William? We talked a lot about free will. We'll just keep it simple there. It has to do with the free will. Only to find out that the actor who plays William in that movie went to Brown, right? Brown University, Rambo?
Yeah, he went to, his name is Hill Harper.
Yeah.
He went to Brown. Yeah, he went to Brown University, which ties into my previous decode about the Brown University and the Brown symbolism and the shootings that happened at Brown.
Yeah.
So that's a Brown lunation being a term for the new moon. The fight occurred on a new moon. The previous Jake Paul fight, Jake Paul, was on a full moon. This was on a new moon. Which is Brown lunation, and he wore the brown trunks, obviously. Yes, the actor who played Will went to Brown University in Rhode Island.
Well, the William, I've always thought this, how important that name really is. But first, think about Aleister Crowley's whole thing. Love is the law, love under will.
Yeah.
Will I am. I always talk about the I am, how it's the reference to the self, the I am. It's the affirmation of you know you're conscious, you know that you are existing, and that's how you affirm that, by saying I am. And so the name Will I am Will is huge, which is why I think whenever King William takes over, it will be interesting to see. And in fact, I think that's probably tied into this somehow. But yeah, that's something I've thought about, obviously, with the William stuff. And yeah, it probably ties into this as well.
Makes me think of Will Smith going back to Philadelphia.
Right.
But his name's Willard. But still, I mean.
Yeah, Will. So yeah, this is about your ability to impose your will on your reality. I think is a big autonomy, and how much of it is a prison, how much control do the elites have? It's about will. That's why his name is Will. Well, ultimately, it's about free will.
And I just wanted to show you guys why I've got it up here. Cody Walker, Caleb Walker, Paul Walker, his two siblings.
That's unbelievable, man.
Yeah. So I have another. There's another Caleb. Well, wait. I think you talked about it earlier, but yeah.
Yeah.
one.
It gets better, you guys. If you guys don't have your popcorn out, get it now.
Oh, he even has a Wikipedia page, this Caleb Walker. How about that? Born
Kinda looks like
October
Ryan
4th,
Reynolds.
1977. Look at this. There's a movie called I Am Paul Walker. I was just talking about I Am.
Oh, jeez.
But yeah, that's crazy. But yeah, I'll give the screen back to Rambo for now. I mean, we covered that whole Aleister Crowley letter, so that's
that's a great find. Thanks.
Yeah. So
was
sorry.
was it Sean Desad who discovered it, or I mean,
Oh,
I like to give
I don't-
credit to.
I don't think that we know who actually first found that, because that's been going around for a long time. There's been a lot of channels that covered it. I'm not sure who first found that, because there's a lot of channels that, you know, their topic is specifically that Donald Trump is the Antichrist. You know, there's a lot of channels that have existed on that topic for a long time.
Yeah.
And like I said, I can't give credit to. I know there's a YouTube channel that talks a lot about Donald Trump. I can't remember the name of him, but I'm sure he's been talking about that for years now, I'm sure. But Sean is the one that brought that to my attention.
Oh, okay.
So
That's amazing. What's in light of the things I've been talking about, the Moonchild, clearly Jack Parsons is relevant. He's known for rocketry on the cover of The Economist year preview for 2026. It's just full of rockets. You have the world, which is a soccer ball, which soccer is going to be important, the World Cup on the cover, and there are rockets and missiles all over it, which I believe is a Jack Parsons reference because of his involvement with the Moonchild and Antichrist. He considered himself to be the Antichrist. It's hard to say in what context he meant that. I don't know. Sometimes with these esoteric things, you can't really look at them and interpret them the way you would just, I guess, regular speech. I don't know what he meant by any of that, to be honest. Like Antichrist, what does that mean? Was he trying to destroy the world? I mean, I don't know. I don't know what any of that means. Try to bring about a new reality, I think, or something. Anyway, trying to manifest. That's what will is about, manifesting. But every individual should have their will. It shouldn't have somebody else restricting their ability to express their will. I think we can agree on that. But so yeah, going back to the skulls, inevitably, if you're going to have a movie about secret societies, you're going to have to present Freemason allegory, and that's what the coffin is. It's the coffin of Hiram Abiff, which has the skull and bones on it, which can be interpreted positively or negatively. The heart is absent, and that's what led to the death. That's why it's facing west. The sun sets in the west, and the sun cycle is the metaphor for the soul's cycle through the reincarnation cycle. And this is Osiris, who is depicted with his arms crossed very often. This is a shepherd's crook and a flail, but Osiris is depicted this way with his arms crossed. He's a vegetation god, a very much an earthly realm. If you want to call this the Matrix, whatever allegory you want to make for this, you could say Osiris rules this realm because he's very much an earthly deity. And crosses in general, in astrology anyway, represent earth and the material realm. And he's an earth god. He's a vegetation god. And so he has his arms crossed, Osiris this is. And that is related to the skull and bones, the crossed bones. This is related to the crossbones. And where do you see the crossbones? On the coffin of the Osiris figure, who's Hiram Abiff. And Osiris was put in a coffin. So that's where a lot of this imagery, crossbone, it comes from. This is where it comes from. And if you're reincarnating, you're going in and out of the realm of Osiris would more be the earthly realm, the earthly incarnation, the lower self. And then you would, Osiris is, I guess, later reborn in the form of Horus. And that is a big ritual time. In Freemasonry, that would be the resurrection of Hiram Abiff. Is corresponds with the ancient Egyptian mythology of the resurrection of Isis brings pretty much has a son with Osiris, even though he's dead. She's able to revive him and able to conceive, and that is Horus. Horus is the reborn son. We're talking about the father's son. Osiris is the father, Horus is the son. S-O-N. The reborn sun in spring. Spring is a high time for ritual. In fact, in the movie The Skulls, when the lead character Lucas, they initially contact him to join them with a phone call, and when he picks up the phone, they say, "Are you ready to be reborn?" This is what's behind all of this. This is pretty basic. It's in most movies, to be honest. It's a very the cycle symbol. They use a sun symbol and things like this: the cross, the coffin, the skull. You'll see it in everything, and there's more to it as well as to how do you break the cycle. It's when you become basically, how do you get out of the matrix? It's when you become enlightened to the point you see past the matrix, which is the metaphor for that is the raising of your kundalini energy from going from base consciousness to the highest level of consciousness. And the highest chakra, it corresponds with the Vedic chakra system, is in the skull, the crown chakra. And there's 7 chakras. So that's actually, and how many vertebrae are there in the human spine? 33. There are 33 vertebrae in the human spine. That is why Freemasonry uses 33. It's a allegory for the human spine and the chakra system, and elevating gradually through the different levels of consciousness until the highest level, the 7th chakra, the crown chakra, at which point you reach enlightenment, which is also symbolized by wings as well. That's the eagle's symbol, is wings. And that's when so light is at the top, but you have to go through the 33 vertebrae to get to the top. And that's why even Christianity has the exact same symbolism. That they say that Jesus died at age 33. And what was Jesus? He's a builder. He's a carpenter. Who uses the allegories of a builder building and the number 33? Freemasonry does. Well, so does Christianity. A builder, Jesus, who's the risen son. He's the resurrected son. These are all common symbols and allegories, by far predate Christianity. And the skulls this is an example of what, and this also affects, it doesn't affect just movies. This affects the everyday events you see in the news, such as the Anthony Joshua narrative. This is what's behind it. Ancient.
Doesn't Jesus mean, isn't Joshua a form of the name Jesus?
Yeah, so
Joshua?
Yeah, so in Hebrew, Jesus is Yeshua, which translates to Joshua.
Right.
So absolutely, yes. Yeah, that's a great point. So Joshua is Jesus, right? So the actor's name is Joshua. So the character's name isn't Joshua, but you can see why they chose him for his name. He's Jesus, but his character's named Luca, which means light.
But the actor's name is Joshua. And yeah.
And of course, what did I say? When he gets the phone call, the initial phone call to start the initiation process, what do they tell him? Are you ready to be reborn? You're right. Great point about the Joshua being Jesus. Absolutely. And the character Will does end up in an actual coffin after he dies. This is just a scene from his funeral. They're carrying his coffin. So there's the coffin in the initiation process, and then there's the actual coffin that Will ends up in. He actually ends up in a real coffin. The coffin is such a central theme to this. And then we have Anthony Joshua. We have the two people who died. They were both Muslims. So, and Anthony Joshua was not a Muslim, but he's very close to Muslims, and he even was almost like he was an honorary Muslim. I don't know why he didn't become a Muslim. That's kind of strange. But he was very, I would say, he was very favorable to Islam, I'd say. And there are pictures of Anthony Joshua praying in a mosque, even though they say he wasn't a Muslim. So that's kind of odd. But yeah, so his two friends I guess they're the ones who will be in the coffin, but it'll be more of a Muslim tradition. This is why I think it ties into the Africa Cup of Nations in soccer, because it's being held in a Muslim country, Morocco. There's still a Christian Muslim thing going on, and Donald Trump said he's bombing ISIS, I guess Muslim terrorists, according to him, who are terrorizing Christians. So there's a whole Christian Muslim thing going on there. But there's the coffin, a very important symbol going back to ancient Egyptian mythology, which is borrowed by Western secret societies. And so this is the Freemason, this is a Master Mason ceremony that they do. They do it in spring. They do it on March 21st. Master Masons do it where one of the members is in a coffin. This is a good illustration of it. Lies in a coffin. They represent the body of Hiram Abiff. And the coffin is opened. It has to be done in spring when the sun is being reborn. And they are pulled out of the coffin. That is the rebirth. It symbolizes a rebirth. That's such a key line to that movie when he first gets that phone call. Are you ready to be reborn? And this is the ritual that Freemasons do. We're being reborn out of a coffin. They pull you up. And this is the lion. The lion represents the sun, but he's also holding a caduceus, which is a symbol of Mercury, which also is a symbol of the spine and the 7 chakras. You can't really see. It's a small, if you can see the caduceus that Mercury, the god Mercury is Hermes in Greek, who's Thoth in ancient Egypt, also known as Jehuti. That's where you get the term Jedi, Jehuti. That's what this is. It's the caduceus, which does represent, again, you go up the 7 chakras to enlightenment, but you have to be, I guess, reborn eventually. And the lion is
he has
Leo.
a lion's head.
Yeah, which is Leo, and Leo is ruled by the sun. You think of Pope Leo, Chicago.
I almost intercepted your alley-oop there.
Yeah, I'd said it before. It's not. You can always emphasize. You see, this is the sun. The lion is the sun, and the sun is exalted. So in astrology, the sun is at home. Every sign has a ruling planet or planetoid. That means that planet is at its strongest when it's in that sign. The sun, and you can understand why the sun is at its strongest when it's in Leo, because when is Leo? It's the end of July and through the first 3 weeks of August in the tropical zodiac. That's when the sun is strongest. And that's why the sun is at home in Leo. And it's the same for every planet, but for every planet, you can't tell, like, oh, Venus is strong today. You can't tell. The sun, you can tell. The sun is strong in summer in Leo. And so that means that Leo is the sun's domicile. Now, ruling planets also have a home away from home, so to speak. It's a place where they're at their strongest when they're not in their ruling sign. So Leo is at its strongest when it's no longer, the sun is at its strongest when it's no longer in Leo, but when it is in Aries at 19 degrees. I hope that's not. And Aries is important because Aries is the time of the resurrected sun. You can see why the sun's home away from home would be in Aries, because Aries is the spring and it's the birth of the sun. All those allegories go into all the movies, the events you see every day, and some of it's organic. The zodiac has an effect on people and their lives. And there's a mystery who wrote this code, but this is the code. And it dictates a lot of what's happening. And that coffin is so important. This is about rebirth. Again, I can't emphasize enough the importance of that line. Are you ready to be reborn? And a great comment by you, AJ. Again, that his name is Joshua, and that's actually Jesus. Jesus. Joshua is actually the English translation of Yeshua, not Jesus. Jesus came from Romans. Romans created that. It's Joshua, ready to be reborn. So Joshua Jackson, the actor, plays Luke McNamara. His co-star is his co-star, the character, the co-star starring role is Caleb Mandrake, and played by Paul Walker. So it's Caleb and Lucas. Those are the two stars. They're on the cover of the poster. It's these two. These are the two stars of the show. Caleb and Lucas. Anthony Joshua is born in Watford. Watford has a soccer team in the second tier of English soccer. This is promotion and relegation. In soccer around the world, it's not fixed like American sports, so there's high stakes. Interestingly, ever since this Joshua fight, and even a bit before, his team, Watford, who are in the second tier, if you finish at the top, you can qualify for the Premier League, which is the most popular sports league in the world, the English Premier League of soccer. And Watford, if they're promoted, will be in the Premier League next season. Right now, they're trying to make qualify for a playoff spot at the end of the season. They're in the second tier. They've been playing really well. They're actually in their best form of the season right now at the time of this Anthony Joshua thing, where he's from Watford.
And if I can time out really quick, Rambo, I just want to remind the viewers that just go back to last week's Eye to Eye stream. You shared this exact same image. This exact same image about Anthony Joshua. This is before his crash.
Yes.
This is before we ended the stream talking about Caleb Mandrake and Paul Walker dying in a red Porsche and tying it all into the latest car crash story before this latest one with Anthony Joshua, right? So I just want to remind everybody that we are essentially kind of circling quickly back to what we touched on just last week. So make sure that you guys go back and see that, and you guys will be blown away with what Rambo's about to put on your plate.
All right.
so be ready.
Okay, let's remember again. Okay, it's Caleb and Luke. Okay.
Yes.
In the skulls, just to make that clear. Anthony Joshua, it's from Watford. Watford has a soccer team in the second division, and so I got this from his Wikipedia page. So this is the thing. He's not really a soccer fan. They're told to affiliate with these teams. I don't believe he's really a soccer fan. Maybe he is partially, but it says here, some Wikipedia page, Joshua previously stated in 2012 that he does not support a football team. But when asked in an interview in 2017, he said that although he supports his local team, Watford FC, his overall favorite team was Real Madrid. But so he is associated with Watford Football Club. Now, Watford Football Club, actually, their claim to fame is for people who are not into soccer or football. They used to be owned by Elton John, the singer Elton John. They used to own Watford very famously. Now, it's very important to see the colors of Watford. They wear red and yellow. And this is their logo. It's a small logo I can, when I do a formal decode. So this is just a headline from a website talking about soccer. Watford's playoff push is well and truly on. This is happening. So they're in their best form of the season when their native son, the native son of Watford, is in the news as well, fighting against Jake Paul, who wore Watford colors in the fight, green and yellow. So I take a look at Watford. So this game was on Friday. Watford played the following day on December 20th. This was on December 19th. So on December 20th, here's the date, Watford, they beat Stoke City 1-0 at home. So this is the second tier. So these are not world-renowned names. These aren't really that well-known and from that tier. But he's, I think he's Norwegian, the player for Watford who scored the winning goal in the game. And his first name begins with L. What do you think L stands for? L. Kurumgard scored the winning goal for the day after the native son of Watford had his fight. First name is Luca Kurumgard. He scored the winning goal. And I looked at the rest of the roster because names say it all. They have an American. Look at that. There's an American on the team. Caleb Wiley.
You guys,
Watford...
quick pause. You guys, can we get some likes and subscribes? Can we get some thumbs up or a clap emoji or something about this? Because when Rambo shared this with me today, after he finally got to watch the skulls in line with everything we're talking about with Anthony Joshua from Watford, how many people are on a soccer roster?
It's a
limited amount of people.
It's a limited amount. Yeah.
Like my point is that is incredible, Rambo. Like among everything else you're already sharing, you're like, oh yeah, what are the odds? What are the odds with everything else we've been talking about? You have a Caleb and a Lucas or Luca, excuse me.
Yeah, Luca and Caleb, yeah.
Oh my God, you guys, come on. Let's give some love to Rambo for this one. This is mind-blowing stuff here.
Yeah, thanks. Caleb Wiley. So yeah, I did not expect an American there. The thing that caught my attention was the flag. Like, oh, they've got an American on their team. He wears number 26. His jersey is 26. It's a pretty in this community it's a major number, 26. From Atlanta. He's from Atlanta, Georgia. So Georgia is related to St. George's Cross. St. George's Cross is the red plus sign, which is the flag of England, which is the cardinal cross in astrology. The cardinal cross in astrology is the cardinal signs, which are the signs that occur at the solstices and the equinoxes. The cardinal cross represents the sun cycle, which is what this is all about. Ultimately, this is not what it's about. Ultimately, this is about the reincarnation cycle, but they use sun cycle symbolism. Aries is opposite Libra. Anthony Joshua is a Libra. And Aries is when the sun is reborn. And then the other axis that intersects it is the Cancer Capricorn axis. That's the solstices. That's the sun at its highest point and the sun at its lowest point when it's in the underworld, when it's dead. And Jake Paul is a Capricorn. And Mike Tyson, who fought Jake Paul earlier, is a Cancer. It's all about the cardinal cross, which is the sun cycle cross. The sun when it's at its rebirth, at its highest point, its death, its lowest point, and then the cycle continues. And that's called St. George's Cross. And he's from Georgia, which is related to that. It's related to that cardinal cross, which the Knights Templar, George Bush Sr. was a Knights Templar. That's the Templar cross. The red plus sign cross is the Templar cross. George Bush Sr. was a Knights Templar in Freemasonry. The Knights Templar is the highest level you can get in the York Rite Freemasonry. There's York Rite and the Scottish Rite. There's other as well, but it's mostly York Rite, Scottish Rite. Scottish Rite has the 32 degrees and then 33. York Rite doesn't have that. York Rite has 3 degrees, but there are other degrees within each degree. When you reach a Master Mason, the highest degree you can get is Knights Templar. And even if you do become a Knights Templar, there are 10 degrees within Knights Templar. So to reach the top of York Rite, you have to be a Master Mason, you have to achieve Knights Templar, and you have to achieve the 10th degree of Knights Templar. But what's the Templar cross? It's the red plus sign, and it's about the cycle, the sun cycle. So
Rambo, if I can just piggyback off of what you just said about Freemasonry, the Knights Templar, I want to shout out Myron. He got game. He's been on a big horse theme lately. Let's not forget about Lucas going from the horse team, now playing for who? The Lakers. Shout out to Mike from Michigan. He is on fire right now. Luca, like the one who plays for the Lakers alongside who? LeBron, King James, and his son. So you have that father-son connection with George Bush Sr. and George Bush Jr., right? Yep. And in the game of chess, a checkered board floor, kind of like the floor in Freemasonry, you have the rook, which is the horse, right?
Oh, okay. Yeah.
So, and what is LeBron James's son right now? A rook.
Yeah.
He's a rookie, right? So, thank you again, Mike from Michigan, and thank you to everybody else from the chat. You know, I'm keeping an eye on it, and you know, huge big ups to you, Rambo, with your work right now. Jordan Streeter says Rambo better than Gematria. You know, it's people love the content even outside the numbers. The numbers always click. But you taught me this, Rambo. It's like, hey, if you can elevate even a little bit above just the numbers, you know the numbers will always follow. Like always. So anyways, yeah, thank you, Rambo.
Yeah.
I just wanted to plug that in there with what you were talking about with the Knights Templar, Freemasonry, chess, the checkerboard floor, etc.
And a knight is part of the chessboard too.
Oh yeah. Oh shoot. Did I get it wrong? The horse is the knight. The horse is the knight. But then you have a rook. The rook is the castle. That's what it is. The rook is the rook is the castle. That's what it was. I'm sorry, you guys. It's been a long time since I've played chess, but
But I'm glad
it's
you
all
mentioned.
relevant.
I'm glad you mentioned that because Wikipedia has on its Anthony Joshua page, it says he likes to play chess. It actually says that. They're putting it into his narrative.
Really?
Yeah, I can. Yeah, it says that he likes chess. So,
Oh, you
let
gotta
me
be
let me look at. Let me see if I can go to Wikipedia.
Yeah, let's pull it up. Why not?
Wikipedia.
I mean, I think it's very relevant. I was just thinking more about the father-son connections that you mentioned.
I mean, since you mentioned chess, personal life.
He likes to play chess. We got to emphasize that, huh?
Joshua fathered, let me see, Nicole Express. Okay, here it says Joshua fathered a son named Joseph J.J. Joshua with dance teacher Nicole Osborne in 2015.
Osborne, interesting.
Yeah, Osborne, there's so much there. And Joshua has expressed an interest in chess. Since you mentioned the chess, it is part of his narrative.
Well, the chess is played on a checkerboard floor, right?
On a checkerboard, yeah, on a checkerboard, yeah. So just to show you that, since you mentioned chess is part of the narrative, which they've put it in his Wikipedia page. That means that's how they subliminally and not so subliminally put that checkerboard image in. And you also mentioned that I don't have a picture of Will here, but it is noteworthy for people who haven't seen the movie that Will, who we talk about, and the importance of his name, is actually the lead character. Lucas Will is black, and that's part of the black-white, as AJU pointed out. That's the black-white checkerboard duality is symbolized there. His best friend is black. I don't have a picture of Will. It is important to note that.
Yeah, and it does go back to what Cody pointed out about how WWE is now emphasizing more black characters on that world stage. And I think it's interesting that I'm not saying, or I don't know enough that it started before or right after Hulk Hogan's death, but his death was so big. And anyways,
that's why I'm glad you mentioned that, because that's why I stopped here. When Jake Paul came in with a Hulkamania shirt on, so he's not just wearing a random red and yellow. He had a Hulkamania robe on. So he honored Hulk Hogan at this fight.
Yeah.
That's why he wore the red and yellow. It's actually a Hulk Hogan direct reference. He had Hulkamania on his robe. And it was interesting that Hulk Hogan, known for being racist. I mean, they have recordings where he even talked about reincarnation, which is amazing. He said he didn't want a reincarnation in the black body. That's what Hulk Hogan said. He was like,
well, remember,
yeah, go ahead.
Remember when this happened, this fight, he was wearing this, I think also because it connects to the movie that came out the same day, Fire and Ash, Avatar. What are we talking about? Avatar incarnating into an avatar, right?
Yep.
So like that was clearly connected to that theme of the Avatar, the Fire and Ash. And like I said, that whole thing with there was all these connections to the third eye, right? So like the whole thing seems to be, and then the fiery crashes, right, that happened around this time. But yeah, it's clear that the Hulk Hogan thing has been carrying over. Because
and it was in Donnie Darko.
Yeah,
touched on that a while ago.
John Cena, when he retired, I mean, it was like Hulk Hogan. I mean, John Cena was like kind of the present or the current Hulk Hogan, right? Like the most famous wrestler. So I mean, it's a lot of connections there. But then, yeah, just a lot of things with wrestling, I could say. But the black thing didn't start happening until, like, really promoting these black wrestlers didn't start happening until this month.
Well, like, it makes me think about dark versus light, right? Black versus white, dark versus light, Donnie Darko. You know, the skulls
so-
being
so, yeah.
enlightened.
So dark
that
is a reference to the dark side of the moon.
Yeah.
You know, one side of the moon always faces Earth, the other side does not face Earth, does not get any reflection from the sun. Darko is a reference to the dark side of the moon. And I even showed how the song, a famous song, Dark Side of the Moon by Pink Floyd, the sound engineer for that was Alan Parsons, who did, the famous song Sirius. And Jack Parsons has a crater named after him on the dark side of the moon. That's been in my latest videos. If you go to my website, you see I include all of that. So dark is a moon reference. It's the dark side of the moon. That's where the Jack Parsons crater is. It's on the dark side of the moon. Because there's the song Dark Side of the Moon by Pink Floyd, sound engineered by Alan Parsons. The name Parsons, again, we just had who's considered, I mean, there are other great players, but who's generally was considered as the best defensive player in the NFL, Micah Parsons, go down with an injury on
Guys,
December 14th. Yeah.
you got to see this. Oh my gosh, Joshua Jackson's last movie. Look at him in this movie.
Bro, what?
He's
Victor?
a boxer. He's a
And
boxer with the same colors. Look at the same
And
colors.
Victor. Rambo was just talking about Victor.
Yeah, the soccer player Victor. And
Oh my
he's a-
god, dude.
He's a boxer he's wearing red and he's got the yellow behind it. Look at this.
Oh my god.
I just had to bring that up. I was just looking into his last movies and I just clicked the movie. I
He was
just saw this movie on Netflix. On Netflix yesterday, I was looking at Netflix movies because I was watching Stranger Things, and I was like, "Oh, this Karate Kid movie just came out, and this is Joshua Jackson. This is the guy we've been talking about all.
Oh
stream.
my god, Codes. Jeez Louise. Cody, I don't know if you have more that you wanted to continue to add on to what Rambo was presenting, but Rambo, before we pivot,
I just want to.
Was there anything else? I just wanted.
No,
Cody, that's amazing.
Yeah, it is amazing. I just wanted to real quick just remind people of the significance of Victor.
Yeah.
This is Victor Osimhen, and he wears the Batman mask. But this is why the Victor is such a big deal. That's an amazing connection. So you put everything together. It's red and yellow. Jake Paul wore the red and yellow against Anthony Joshua, who's Nigerian, who went to Nigeria 10 days after the fight. This is while the Nigerian national team, Victor Osimhen, are challenging for a title in Africa. He's in a car accident on Victor Osimhen's birthday, December 29th. And with all the skull and bones, inevitably here, he's okay, I don't want to change the page, but he's Batman. Victor Osimhen is Batman. And again, yes, the accident happened on his birthday. And also look at the colors of, so Osimhen, he plays for Nigeria, the national team, but his club team, the league he plays in the Turkish team, which is Galatasaray. And look at their colors. It's red and yellow, if you can see there, or orangish, like an orangish yellow. So all this Joshua Jackson thing really ties into Nigeria and Victor Osimhen particularly, which looks to me he's headed for some glory. I think you'd think, right? I mean, and also think of how this is tied into the Super Bowl. The Eagles, they were green. Joshua was in an accident where his two friends died in a Lexus LX. Super Bowl LX is coming up. If Nigeria wins, they're the Eagles who are green, then I don't know. Maybe we'll be seeing.
Well, hey, anybody that's interested in sports betting, consider that a free pick. And Rambo does not specialize in sports betting. Okay, that's not what he cares about. He knows that there's a lot more to this world than just that. But make a note. That's a free pick right there. Keep an eye out for Nigeria.
Yeah, that's if they win. So the Morocco are hosting it, and the overwhelming favorites. They reached the final four of the most recent World Cup. They're at home. They're the favorites. So it would be somewhat of an upset. But Nigeria is talented. And very often we've seen these things where certain sacrifices and events will happen which will indicate things. But yeah, that Victor find with Joshua Jackson is amazing. Victor and green and red and yellow. Those are Watford colors as well. They have a Caleb and a Luca. I'll just leave it there. I'll let you guys can add what you want.
No, that
And
that
just-
is
just to
incredible.
go-
That is incredible, Cody. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Thank you, Rambo, so much. Seriously, appreciate that.
It's funny you mentioned that too, because I had typed in this guy's name, and look at this. You mentioned that Caleb Ryan Wiley. Look at his name. It equals the name of the movie I just showed you with and it equals 65 like Yale. Like this is where Skull and Bones is. But it also equals
you can add Philadelphia to that,
right
as well.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, that's. I just thought that was interesting that you just mentioned that this Caleb, this player that's on the team that you mentioned, his full name equals the name of that movie that Joshua Jackson's in, and the Mighty Ducks. Of course, this all stems back to that. It's just so crazy to see how a few weeks ago when I brought up that movie with Joshua Jackson, the Mighty Ducks, how it's.
You and I loosely brought that up, where it was like,
Yeah, well,
there's
that was
something
even-
about the Mighty Ducks. And guess what? The Mighty Ducks are having probably their best season they've had since they won the Stanley Cup back in the early 2000s. Like
Yeah.
they are well up there in their division right now, which I don't think that's a coincidence. I don't think it's a coincidence that the Bears are having one of their best seasons that they've had in a very long time. This is where it ties back to Charlie Kirk,
Also, Watford are in their best form of the year. So they very well could be promoted. Who knows? Off of all this.
The other big thing is like when I think AJ, me and you, we mentioned the Mighty Ducks like even before we even got into this duck theme. We talked about it. I remember a stream we did, the Eye to Eye stream that we did. We had brought up the Mighty Ducks like it probably was like 2 months ago now.
It goes back to when Phil Robertson, the main character of Duck Dynasty, when he died, and your video that you did tying it in with Duck Hunt, the whole Duck Hunt connection, and this is way before Charlie Kirk's assassination. This is way before we really started talking more about Joshua Jackson. And I mean, another thing, I don't have slides for it, we can pull it up, but another big thing that's been very, very viral over the last 2 weeks specifically is Tyler Chase, a former child star on Nickelodeon, who is, a druggie living on the streets in Los Angeles. And you have who? Sean Weiss, another former child star, aka Goldberg. For anybody who's watched the movie The Mighty Ducks, you guys know who I'm talking about. Goldberg. He had his own terrible fall and rise where he's been in recovery for the last 5 years. Yeah, there he is. Goldberg. I mean, you look at him when he was in his worst. It was really bad. And he's looking a lot better now, but he's trying to now help Tyler Chase. But my point is Sean Weiss, Goldberg in the Mighty Ducks. He is a male duck. And Mandrake, Caleb Mandrake. Man, male, Drake, duck, right? See what I'm saying? It's all right there. I'm saying like this story about Tyler Chase and Sean Weiss, the Mighty Ducks, like he's most known for Mighty Ducks, in my opinion. Either that or Heavyweights. But this is crazy, you guys. I mean, it's all right here about the duck symbolism. And I don't mean to take a hard left here, but this is so relevant with everything that we've been talking about.
So Heavyweights is a boxing reference as well.
Oh, it is. Yeah, that's right. But
Heavyweight,
you know what movie I'm talking about though, right? With Ben Stiller.
Well, I'm
No,
actually not
kids
familiar
movie.
with that movie. But
Yeah, it's all right. We don't really need to. I don't know. I'm scared for Cody to pull it up because then he might drop another bomb on us.
Yeah, well,
but anyways,
was
I just want to get that point across.
it was just like I I was just like interested to see what his last movie was. This was literally his last movie, Joshua Jackson's. And he just happened to play a boxer, a local boxer champion. Yeah, and of course his name is Joshua, right? Like Anthony Joshua. Yeah, it's just so clear. I mean, and I'm sure I'll have to watch this movie now, maybe. And again, I was just looking at this movie because it just popped up on Netflix next to the Stranger Things. And there's a whole spiel I could have gotten into today with that, and the Alice in Wonderland stuff going on, and there's a huge thing going on with this New Year's stuff, the lights for you guys know I've talked a lot about the 589. In fact, that's my number after my name of my channel. Well, it turns out that the lights on the 2026 sign this year are totaled. The sign that they're going to have in New York, the fact has come out that the lights, there's 589 lights on the light of the 2026 this year. And Dr. Savage, another great decoder in the community, he's pointed out, and I don't know if you saw this, AJ, in the last stream I did, he pointed this out, but we're coming into the horse year in 2026. And so there was that proton horse that was given to Pope Leo. Let me see if I can just pull this up real fast. Actually, let me just go to Dr. Savage, his post. Because again, make sure you guys go subscribe to him because he's been killing it with the connections recently. And so here is let's see if I could find it. Yeah, so the lights will have 589 bulbs, or the 2026 thing will have. So anyway, what Dr. Savage had found is that Pope Leo was given the proton horse, the white horse, on October 15th. Well, that is the day the Gregorian calendar started. And what Dr. Savage had found is that if you go from the actual start of the Gregorian calendar on the same day to the same day in history where Leo received this horse, it was exactly 161,803 days. Well, that's like mind-blowing because that's the golden ratio. That is the first 6 digits of the golden ratio in exact order. And we're talking about horses. Phi, Philip is a lover of horses. The name Philip means lover of horses. It starts with the letters PHI, which is phi, which is the golden ratio. And of course, the Pope, before you're a Pope, you have you're a bishop, and a bishop holds a crook, which looks like the golden ratio at the top. But anyway, he received this horse, and then Dr. Savage found that the ball, as you can read here, the ball that's going to be dropping in New York weighs 12,350 pounds. Well, if you do a quick Google search on what happened in the year proton event, year 12,350. So you can see that there's this event that happened in the year 12,350. I don't know how they know this or what this really even means, but I mean, it was a solar event called the proton event, guys. And the ball for 2026 that's dropping in New York is exactly that weight, 12,350. And again, this is, I mean, I don't know how, and like how crazy that really is if you think about it, because I mean, they're saying that this is when this proton event happened and Leo received that horse, proton. Also, if you check out the crystals in the light, They're saying there's 5,280 crystals. Well, there's a horse team in the NFL who, of course, go by the number 5,280.
That's what I was thinking. I was like, wait, why does that number? Yeah. Wow.
So we got the horse Proton first. That's the first clue. Wait, that was Anthony Joshua's birthday, wasn't it? Yeah, it was. It was Anthony Joshua's birthday. He got the horse on Anthony Joshua's birthday. That was the same day the Gregorian calendar started. That was the golden ratio after the Gregorian calendar started on the same day.
Wait,
Anthony Joshua's birthday is October 15th.
oh my God, dude.
I completely just thought, well, let me just check that real fast. But I'm
I was going to
almost
say,
positive.
if you can walk us through that really quick.
Anthony Joshua, October 15th. Yep. So on the day of his birthday, Pope Leo received a white horse named Proton. Okay. And Proton, again, is the Proton event from the year 12350. The ball for 2026 weighs 12350, has 5,280 crystals, which is the horse connection to the Denver Broncos. Of course, that's mile high. That's a mile high, right? 5,280 is a mile. That's how many feet's in a mile. And 5,280 is, wow, this connects back to the love frequency. The love frequency is 528. The whole NFL season started out with that game where the storm hit. And remember, Denver's at a mile high, right? And then they play at Empower Field, like EMP. There's something called a high-powered EMP or high-altitude EMP, which I've covered years ago now. That's what I believe the Denver Broncos stadium represents. It represents the EMP. Because, again, the stadium's called Empower, starts with the EMP. And then there's a high-altitude EMP, and they play at high altitude, right? Which is 528, which is the love frequency, which is how the NFL season started with the 444.
With Philadelphia, right? And you've also done a lot of extensive work on the 444 hertz, right? And Rambo's touched on, the field goals. I always forget the name of it, Rambo. What
Tuning
is it?
forks.
The tuning forks. I don't know why I can't remember the name of it, but all of those things, amazing.
Sorry.
The last thing I was going to say was just we're now entering Bad Bunny, right? Going back to Donnie Darko, but the bunny got me on a different rabbit hole, pun intended, about the Energizer Bunny, and you guys will be blown away. I'm not ready to present it tonight, but the Energizer Bunny, with everything that Cody and Rambo have been talking about, just you guys wait. Amazing. But yeah, sorry. Go ahead, Rambo.
Is it connected to the Super Bowl or?
It is in different ways. It kind of lays out, it could be the Bills, for example.
Yeah.
There's a very interesting commercial with the Energizer Bunny, him banging the drum, and honestly, like we were talking about the Spurs last week, and now the Spurs have introduced a brand new ritual now where they're banging a drum, but yeah, so like that's just one example. There's one commercial very specifically geared towards the Bills. I'm just going to leave it there. I'm not necessarily hinting at the Bills being there, but it's possible. But if you go through the Rolodex of the different commercials with the Energizer Bunny and you just go back and watch, it's mind-blowing, the stuff that's in there. So sorry, Codes. I didn't mean to take you off of your run.
No, that's no problem. I mean, I just feel like, the Bills, I've seen a lot for them as well. Joshua, of course, Josh Allen. They've been making a big deal how Patrick Mahomes is now out of his way so he can get to a Super Bowl now. So that would make sense.
Mahomes. Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, so just to finish this off, the light for the 2026 year has 589 bulbs. And again, this is a number I've talked about extensively on here because we know that in the Latin cipher, Donald Trump equals 589. And of course, that's the number that I've talked about extensively because that is the number of the reset for the XRP community. And what's interesting about going back to the horse Proton, there's a cryptocurrency called Proton, and its initials are XPR, which is the inverse of XRP. But think about it, XPR is Philip Rivers again, 1618, the golden ratio, which I showed last night how improbable that was with Philip Rivers. Again, Philip means lover of horses, Phi is 1618, PR is 1618, XPR, like Proton, that's the cryptocurrency. Now you have XRP, right? And in the XRP community, the number 589 has circulated for years now, probably at least 10 years, that XRP will go to 589. That's the price it will go to. So this is a running joke. But that's also connected to Trump. Alice in Wonderland equals 589 in one of the caps added ciphers, which I was going to try to talk about today, but I won't get into that today. But this 589 is a huge number, and it's considered to be the reset number. And another reason I believe the 67 is going around is because basic simple gematria, reset equals 67, right? And reset. And I believe it's about the currency reset because there's this thing coming out. The second to last episode of Stranger Things was called The Bridge. The BRICS nations are developing something called the M Bridge, which is a settlement layer on between all the BRICS nations that can bypass the US dollar and basically end the US dollar, basically end the global reserve currency. And BRICS is developing that right now. It's called the M Bridge. And in this Stranger Things show, as I showed in my last decode, 11, the character 11, who's the psychic character, she says in the show, she says, we're going to blow up the bridge. She's talking to Kali, which her sister in the movie is Kali, and Kali is the goddess of chaos in India. They're going to blow up the bridge, right? And BRICS, India is part of BRICS. So BRICS, like builders, like Freemasonry too, of course. So I believe that this year is the year of some sort of global currency reset, or at least a step towards it. And I believe that's why the United States is going to turn 18 weeks old on the first day of the year, right? 18 days or weeks exactly, which is the number or the number in the book of Revelation about the mark of the beast, which connects to the money, right? And dollar equals 26. Yeah, open up in the chat writes that dollar equals 26. So we're in the year 26. I believe the US dollar, either something's going to happen this year, I feel like. And I think a lot of this crash symbolism, crashing, markets crashing, money. Yeah.
I was just going to add about the whole currency thing. It makes me think of energy currency, fluidity,
right,
flow. And what just happened this year as well? Well, Donald Trump ended the penny. The penny's made from copper, right? Isn't copper one of the most valued elements when it comes to creating frequency, energy, electricity? You know, so now that's gone, right? So no more pennies. If you guys have pennies out there, keep them.
Yeah,
I just want to throw that out there. I think that falls right in line with the energy stuff and the currency stuff you were talking about.
I think you're definitely like dead on about that because that's connected. There's layers to this, of course. There's like the material layer, like the money part, but then there's the higher spiritual realm layer, right? So there's like the you can look at it in so many layers. You can look at it on a carnal level or a spiritual level. But yeah, I think the M Bridge, though, with the bridge stuff going on, we had the Golden Gate Bridge go out of power last week as well.
Exactly.
So, and the ship that hit the Baltimore Bridge lost power before it hit the bridge. And I showed how it was perfectly connected, those events, and then it was connected to Super Bowl 47, right? So the M, again, I'm just pulling up so people can see the M Bridge, right? And again, we just had Stranger Things point us to a bridge. Their last episode was literally called The Bridge. And I believe that this might be what it's pointing to, this BRICS M Bridge that they're building to basically overwrite the SWIFT system, right? SWIFT is the current model, right? And that's why Taylor Swift is on the world stage. She is a representation of the SWIFT system, the money moving system.
And it's kind of ending with the Chiefs.
Right. That's why John Cena ended his career on Taylor Swift's birthday. That's what it was about. It's ending the SWIFT system.
Wow.
And he tapped out, right, to Gunther. And Gunther he's the, the Hitler type character. So, it's just obvious that it seems that we're finally going to reach a point where we're going to have something happen with this money system. And either I don't know what's going to happen exactly, but this M Bridge is based off of CBDCs and blockchain. And blockchain, of course, is Bitcoin, but this is not using Bitcoin. This is their own system to basically go around the United States. But yeah, I just want to throw it in there because we're coming into 2026. I wanted to talk about the bulbs, the light bulbs. And it's funny too that the light bulbs, we're talking about the light bulbs in the sign of 2026. We're talking about possible power outages. There's 589 light bulbs. And again, Trump has that connection. So, I mean, the power outage, the blackouts, the energy outages. And I think that's my gist that I really wanted to get to without going any deeper, without extending this stream too much longer. So,
yeah, I mean, for me, the simplest connection would be Bad Bunny performing at the next Super Bowl. I guess to wrap it up, I mean, we could obviously go another 5 days nonstop about this. But one thing that I shared with Rambo when I talked to him earlier today was the whole duck hunt theme, right? Which we touched on briefly, the Duck Dynasty guy, Phil Robertson, who passed away. And you did a whole thing about Duck Hunt and Donald Trump being hunted and Charlie Kirk and who's a Ducks fan, etc. But with this bunny/rabbit connection and all of the duck connections we've gone through this year, it made me think, and sorry, before I put the cherry on top, what did we talk about 2 or 3 weeks ago? We were talking about Rambo, help me out here. What's his name? Infantile or something?
Gianni Infantino, who's the head president, I guess is the title, of the world governing body of football, which is soccer.
And we had a really good laugh about how he looks like a baby. But we also connected him to who? Elmer Fudd. Well, Elmer Fudd, if you look into Looney Tunes, there's a whole running thing in Looney Tunes with Elmer Fudd and who? Daffy Duck and Bugs Bunny. So the duck hunting season is coming to an end. And now we have Bad Bunny to set the tone for the Super Bowl next year. So I'm just going to kind of leave it there unless you guys have anything else to elaborate on that. That was just a very simple alignment I saw looking at different things. I mean, the duck and the rabbit, the duck and the bunny. We know everything about Drake, Mandrake, Kendrick Lamar, Duckworth, etc. this year. And then now we have Bad Bunny to set the stage for next year. And the Elmer Fudd thing that we touched on just a couple episodes ago. So just want to make sure that you were aware of that, Coates.
Yeah, there's so much. Just with all the Duck stuff, it's really mind blowing how it's all come together and continuing to manifest, and especially with what's happened the last couple weeks, and then all the Duck stuff. So I think we will definitely have. It'll be interesting to see what happens with the Oregon Ducks, and I think you might be right, AJ. I think we might see the Ducks do something. So.
Yeah, we'll see, man. I'm just gonna pull up an image here just so people can see what I'm talking about, and then we'll close things out. Yeah, look at this, you guys. I mean, this is an old tale. This wasn't a recent Looney Tunes episode, but yeah, Bugs Bunny and Daffy Duck, right? It's the duck versus the bunny, and Elmer Fudd. And now we have Elmer Fudd in the news with Donald Duck Trump, who ducked in his own assassination attempt. Then you have Charlie Kirk, who didn't get a chance to duck, and Joshua Jackson playing Charlie in the Mighty Ducks. I don't know. I think there's something here. The bunny versus the duck.
Well, show people a picture of Gianni Infantino so they can be familiar. He's not a well-known figure. So you should show his
Gianni in. Here we go. Right here.
It's good to go to Google. Good.
Yeah, this goes back to the hands stuff that we've talked about as well. But yeah, I mean, doesn't he look like Elmer Fudd just without the hat?
Yeah, I mean, we got a good laugh out of this one when we saw that first time.
I think the biggest laugh was just that he looks like a baby, and his name is Infant Eno.
Yeah,
yeah, but he's a complete lap dog of Donald Trump. That's kind of the reputation. He's shameless about it. That's a big thing. So he created this award just for Donald Trump. The award never existed. The thing with the hands on it, it's called the FIFA Peace Award. There's no such thing. He just created it just so he could give it to Donald Trump. So yeah, it's the type of thing he does.
And Donald is the duck, isn't he?
Yeah, Donald's a duck. It's Elmer Fudd and Daffy Duck.
Yeah. Yeah. Elmer Fudd hunting season. You guys might remember. I'm hunting wabbits. Like Elmer season, right? The duck and the bunny. So we're moving from the duck to the bunny. Come on. Jake Paul did this. Jake Paul did this right before his fight, wearing bullets around his neck. If you guys remember that image.
Yeah, that was in my I put that in my latest Decode video on my channel. Yeah. The bullets are very relevant. There's the shooting at Brown University and the whole Brown thing. He's wearing a brown shirt with the bullets before the fight.
And so does Elmer Fudd.
Yep.
Yep. Anyways, yeah. Wow. Oh, look, we got Bugs Bunny dressed up as Elmer Fudd now. Look at this. Like it's a big thing in Looney Tunes, you guys. Look at this.
This is Gianni Infantino. It is. I mean,
Gianni Infantino chasing, well, now the rabbit, but Bad Bunny.
I'm sure there has to be some rabbit symbol in soccer in the World Cup. I don't know what it is. But
this is a child's cartoon. Like he's got the come on. Anyways, all right, we will close it out there. Let's reel it back in. Unbelievable.
Yeah, what a
absolutely unbelievable. Yeah. Well, a character on the world stage, right? But yeah, hey Cody, I'll let you start. Let me pull up your slide. as you help close us out, if you could please just remind folks where they can find you and support you, and or if there's anything else that you're working on or things that we can look forward to.
Yeah. Thanks again to everyone in the chat who's here tonight. A lot of people in the chats. I noticed both chats were pretty full, so probably had over 230 people in here in both chats at once. So thank you to all those people who were here watching, and on my chat and on AJ's. Thank you, Rambo, for all the great work, and thank you, AJ, for putting this on. If you guys again want to find me on YouTube, Decoding with Cody, as on the screen there. And if you want to support me, also the link there at the bottom, www.buymeacoffee.com/decoding with Cody. And yeah, Happy New Year, everyone. And I know doesn't feel like a new year in the middle of winter, but we'll see what 2026 brings.
Lots to look forward to. That's for sure. Yeah, Cody, I know that New Year's is just hours away for you. So I want to extend to you a very happy New Year, just riding the wave of the calendar they give us. And thank you again so much for all of the hard work and sacrifices and the contributions that you make. I know it's most people wouldn't be able or willing to wake up at the hours that you do to join us. And it makes the show fantastic. So really appreciate you, brother.
Yeah, appreciate it.
And I'm looking forward to what we have in store for next year. So I just hope you have a very safe and happy New Year.
You as well, and everyone in the chat too, and Rambo.
Yeah, thank you.
Speaking of which, Rambo, if you wouldn't mind just doing a quick reminder for everybody where they can find you.
Yeah, but I'd like to echo what Cody said. Thanks to the chat. Thanks to the viewers. Thanks, Cody. He did a remarkable job, especially considering he didn't have anything prepared, and he hasn't seen the movie The Skulls yet. He still had amazing contributions, extemporaneous contributions. I appreciate that. And great show again. And that's where you can find me on the screen, patreon.com/thetruthcodes. My latest video ties into this, on the whole Moonchild stuff. So there'll be more what came up in this show. There'll be a lot more on this theme, especially with Trump and the Antichrist themes and that kind of thing. And I have a lot more analysis on the movie The Skulls and how it ties into popular culture and events in the news. So yeah, thanks again. Great show. And look forward to next year, and hopefully happy times for everybody in the world.
Indeed.
A positive changes hopefully occur.
I was always saying, I hope the year of the horse is more like a free stallion in the field rather than a chained horse that's being stabbed by a spur with a rider. So I think there's two ways it could go next year. Either we get the rider riding us more like a workhorse, or we get the style. We get to be a stallion next year, hopefully.
There we go.
Mustang.
Absolutely.
That's one way to look at it. You know, at the end of the day, New Year's, everyone's going to be raising their glasses, right? Their glasses of champagne. I would say what we all should be doing is looking at that glass to be half full and not half empty, right? See what I'm saying? It's a dark world we live in, but we're here to help everybody see the light, even though it's a hard journey. But I'm just going to close out by saying thank you to everybody in the chat. You guys have been incredible, as always. As always. I mean, if anything, you guys bring more to the table than what the three of us do. The show would not be anything without you guys. So it really means a lot. My name's AJ, Ball Don't Lie, 3 L's and Ball. You guys can email me anytime. Wordplaybook, 3O's and book @gmail.com. If you would like any of my content, you guys can find me on Instagram or YouTube. Without further ado, good night to everybody. Happy New Year. Stay blessed. Stay safe. We'll see you again. We will see you guys again very soon. Until next time. Peace.
See you, everyone.
Take care.